Hi there, and welcome to this video which is aimed at helping people answer exam type questions on direct and inverse proportion. So let's look at an example. Starting with a simple example. So the weight of a piece of wire is directly proportional to its length. So we probably need to start off by assigning a letter. So let's have W for the weight and L for the length. So we could write this statement like this: W is directly proportional to L. This is the proportion symbol that we use. Now, effectively, all that means is that these two are linked like this. And what that means is that the weight is some multiple of the length. And effectively, what you have to do in all of these questions is work out what that value of K is, what the number that we times by L is to get W, and obviously it's going to be different for different questions. So you're then given information to help you work out that value of K, and then the standard procedure for these questions is to give you a further part of the question where you're either given W or L. Now you know the value of K, you can use that to work out the missing amount. So let's proceed further then. So just from that first line there, we can write this, and hence we can write this. So let's use the next line. A piece of wire is 25 centimeters long and has a weight of 6 grams. So let's just write that down. So what they're saying is that L is 25 when W is 6. Now, we said this is the general formula, that W equals some amount of L. So all we do is we substitute these values into here. So W equals 6 when L is 25. So our value of K is actually 6 over 25. So what that actually means is that our formula linking W and L, the weight and the length, can be written as W equals 6/25 L. So for every single question on direct or inverse proportion, you need to do that first part, which is simply to establish what the equation is. Often there is a second part of the question, which is to use that formula. So now we're saying, what is the value of W when the length is 30 centimeters? So we're trying to find W. So all we do is we put that into our formula. W equals 6/25 times by 30. So it's basically 185 divided by, oh sorry, 180, sorry, divided by 25, which is 7.2, and we're talking grams. So it's a good idea to always put your units there. So that's the simplest examples then. Let's quickly move on to example 2. So now D is proportional to S. So we're not told what these values relate to, so it's not that important. Write down your statement. So that's all that statement means, and we simply say replace the proportion symbol with an equal sign, and we're saying that D is some multiple of S squared. So that's the equation that we need to start working out the value of K for. So we're given two values. D is 900 when S is 20. So we say 900 is K times by 20 squared. So 900 is K times by 400. So K is 900 divided by 400. So K is 9 over 4, which we could, if we wanted to, write as 2.25. So our formula that we're going to use is basically D equals 2.25 times S squared, and that's what we use for our formula. Okay, now notice it didn't ask you to do that, but we need that formula to answer any further questions. So we needed to establish the value of K. Now we've got the value of K, we can answer the question that we were given originally. So if I just write that again here, because that's all I need to use now. So that's the formula that we're going to use. If I just get rid of this, because we're not going to need this anymore, obviously in an exam you'd leave that there. I'm just getting rid of that for the sake of this example. So we want to find the value of d when s is 25, so we just write down 2.25 times 25 squared, which is 1406.25, and we don't know any units or anything like that, so we can leave it like that. Okay, moving quickly on to example 3. So far we've met directly proportional. So that one doesn't actually say directly proportional, but it's implied by not saying otherwise. This one it did say directly proportional. So y is inversely proportional is slightly different, and effectively what that means, if it's inversely proportional, is that it's 1 over whatever this part is, the x squared part. Okay, so when it says inversely proportional, now as before, that simply means that we can write that as k times 1x squared, which we normally write k over x squared. So just by reading that statement there, the inverse means that it's going to be 1 over x squared is the bit that goes on the denominator, and we replace the proportion sign with the k like we did before. Again, we're given information that's purely so we can work out the value of k. In this particular example, they've actually broken the question down into 2 parts, so you would have to find this first anyway. So we know that y can be written as or equals to k over x squared, so 2.5 is equal to k over 24 squared. So 2.5 times 24 squared is equal to k. So k is equal to 1440. So that means that our formula is y equals 1440 over x squared. So find the value of y when x equals 20. So y equals 1440 over x squared. So all we're doing now is to find that value of y. This is the formula that we established how they're linked together in the previous part of the question. So all we do now is that we now substitute in this value of x equals 20. Y equals 1440 divided by 20 squared. So 1440 divided by 400, which is equal to 3.6. And that's the answer to that one. So we've just done 4 quick examples there, and they're all very similar themes. So just read this bit carefully. It's either going to be y equals k times x squared, or if it says inversely proportional, then it's 1 over x squared, x, square root of x, occasionally maybe x cubed, and then it's always about just writing an equation with a value of k which you have to find in the first instance, and then use that quite often to find other values. But they're very straightforward. Practice a few and you'll find that they're easy marks on the exam. Okay, good luck with those.